Hello. This is our speech, me, Maddie, and Adam's speech on hobbies and just information about our hobbies and how we've implemented them into our college life here. Um, so what I wanted to talk about first is that everyone has hobbies that they enjoy in life. And what we're going to be talking about is how we have personally adjusted our own hobbies to what the college needs are that we have and how we've adjusted our schedules and everything to fit those. Each person has different interests that they've been investing in, and they are just now uncovering in their lives, especially throughout college. So what we're going to be talking about is how we've implemented ours in with our majors and outside of classes. So first up, we have Maddie, who's going to be talking about D&D.
Okay, so the first thing I want to bring up is why do I enjoy D&D? I find it as like a very creative outlet for me. There are just so many things you can do in the game. It doesn't really matter what's going on in your life. You could use magic to solve all your problems. It's really nice, honestly. Um, so you get to just be kind of creative and express yourself in different ways from your day-to-day life. You can help, it can kind of help you process your emotions in a different way that you're not really able to. It allows you to go and explore new things in a different way. I am personally not a very outdoorsy person, but in the game, I tend to play kind of more outdoorsy people, which is kind of fun. It's a different kind of way to reach into that facet. Um, and it's a great way to spend time with friends. I mean, personally for me, I have a hard time making friends, so being able to automatic see someone playing D&D and automatically have a conversation starter that you can talk about for hours and hours and hours because there are so many different things to talk about within the realm of Dungeons and Dragons. Um, and just being able to kind of get creative with it. Being able to see different things, experience different people, different sides of people is a really fun thing to do. Um, so it's a convers and then how do I adjust it to college life? Um, I it a lot I found people to play with. That's really the big thing. I mean, at home I had a different group that I played with. And I'm very close to them. But being able to come to college, it really took me a while to find someone to play with until I found a group of friends sitting in the lounge. And I kind of went over, introduced myself, all that. Um, it is a lot easier to meet up when we're all on campus, versus when we're kind of spread out. Um, Being able to like talk in person, especially when we're all in a more central location versus when I was at home when we were all kind of spread around town. Being on campus is a lot more central. There are a lot more options for places to go to play and meet up and do things. Um, and yeah. And then being able to kind of talk to people my age. When I was at home, for a while, I kind of played with like my dad's older friends, which is kind of awkward. Um, but now I'm playing with more people my age, which for me is a lot more enjoyable because I get to make all these little like pop culture references that the older guys wouldn't really get and stuff like that, which is really kind of fun and bringing in kind of my day-to-day life into my character and kind of combining the two and being able to kind of express myself that way with people I know and people I trust. Um, Now a big thing about adjusting to college life was scheduling because we're college students. We have a lot going on. Um, away, I mean, people have jobs, people have different class schedules, people have different homework needs. So it kind of came down to picking a day and saying, "Hey, we're gonna set aside this time. If something comes up, we're not gonna be mad. We're gonna be extremely disappointed," which it happens, and we understand that. And places to meet up is kind of a challenge, just because we'll say, "Oh, we're gonna go to one of the lounges in Allen," and then all the lounges in Allen are taken, and we kind of have to pivot from that and find a new place to go, which is really fun, and it's a great problem-solving opportunity, honestly. Um, Up next we have Adam, who's talking about astrology.
Cool. I am going to talk about amateur astronomy and my involvement in it for the past 7 or so years. Of course, growing up, I was always a bit of a nerd and a space-loving kid, but I didn't really know that you could actually see a lot of these things in the night sky. In 2017, a few different things happened that got me into the hobby. One, of course, a lot of y'all should remember the Great Solar Eclipse in 2017. That was a big one. I was not under totality, but I was close enough that I had everyone at the place I worked at the time go outside, and I told them about what was happening. We all got to share a cosmic event together, which was a real blast. I also that same year asked for a telescope from my grandparents, and thankfully they didn't get the worst. They got me the best of the worst telescopes. I'll put it that way. Celestron is potentially a hobby-killing brand. And then the final thing that happened that year that really got me into the cosmos was I found a star chart like a year-round star chart that you can use. You might have seen they have like a little wheel of stars that you turn depending on the day, and you can. I found one of those in the Lost and Found at a place I worked, and it was really I took it back. I took it home because it had been there for years, and I just started using it to find my way around the night sky and went, wait a minute, I can learn about this stuff. It was awesome. Every time I would, every night, every clear night that I could, I went outside, I learned a constellation or two, and I'd go back inside and tell my parents, look, I just found Perseus tonight. I just found the Pleiades tonight. It was the greatest thing. And at home, that just really kept building and building. I can go on and on about all I've done over the years, but it just built into a exploration of the cosmos. And I'll quote, now I'll one of my favorite books is written by Terence Dickinson in 1998, and one of the little some of the things that he said about an amateur astronomer's relationship with the night sky is that it's a love affair with the cosmos. It's not exactly it's more one way, of course, but the appreciation and the connection to nature and the just the feeling of awe and wonder you get out there while at the telescope, while stargazing, while seeing a meteor streak across the sky. It's special and it keeps you going outside night after night after night, even if after a couple of years you've seen the majority of the things up there that you can see with your current equipment or how rural you are, the light pollution levels. So so what I end up doing at home is a lot of using my own telescope to explore the cosmos from my backyard by myself, which is really fun. I live somewhere dark enough to see the Milky Way at night, so I can point around and find dozens of galaxies, star clusters, nebulas. I mean, I can find them and enjoy them and sketch them and really, really have a great time out there in my backyard, listening to the sounds of the night, especially the katydids in the summer. Those are awesome. And I still have the same feelings about the night sky. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time to be out there, and it really lets you think a bit. It's a good escape in some ways. Now, going to college here at Western, it does change up the approach a bit because some of y'all might know me as the telescope guy on campus, where I will go out to the catafount at night with my telescope and I'll point at some of the bright stuff. I'll point at the moon, I'll point at Saturn, I'll point at eventually Jupiter. And that's a lot of fun. It's a different type of engagement with the hobby where I am sharing what I know with people who might have never truly looked up at the night sky in any sort of way, or they've never looked through a telescope, and I get to share that. I think that's been incredible. I've also started the astronomy club here just because I want other people to learn more and go on their own little cosmic journeys, learning about the night sky, learning about all that other stuff, the planets and comets and all those wonderful things. And I've also been really happy to meet Chris from the City Lights bookstore in Silva because he's an avid amateur astronomer, and he has helped out the club pretty significantly. Um, uh, Either through donating books for our raffle at the beginning of the year at the Valley Ballyhoo, or by helping us out with our stargazes on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So my hobby has changed in the sense that I get to do it with a lot more people. I do miss the I do miss the quiet nights out on my lonesome by the IP, scouring the sky for things I've never seen before. I don't get to do that nearly as often now, but at the same time, the trade-off to share the magic of the cosmos with everyone else is priceless as well. And speaking of magic, that is the topic of our next speaker.
Yes, hello. My topic is going to be about Magic the Gathering. It's a bit different from astronomy. It's a card game. Um, Basically, what happens in Magic and how I've become to learn about it. So, I actually first learned about Magic the Gathering when I got to college here at Western. And what had happened is I had a friend whose name was Jude, and she told me about this card game and about how it was like this really cool strategic game where you have to like do certain things at different times and your opponents can like take the advantage at any second. Um, I I really like strategy games, and so I thought, wow, this might be really fun to try. So I tried it, and I haven't stopped actually since I first came here at Western. I've been doing it like almost on a weekly basis. Um, whenever I'm not at work. Um, so basically to how Magic works, at least how that's what I'm gonna start off with, is you begin the game by drawing a card. You draw up to seven, and you have a deck of 100 cards. You draw up to seven from the top after you shuffle it. And if you, there's these things called lands and non-lands, which are like any spells. Basically, you can tap lands and like turn them to the side for mana, and it gives you the ability to cast spells that you have from your hand, which can give you the advantage whenever you're playing against like multiple other players. Or if you're there's actually different advantages you can get from playing against a lot of people or like you and one other person. And different decks kind of work in that way, where they all the cards kind of synergize together for one purpose. Ultimately, the purpose is winning, but you can do a lot of fun stuff in between too. So you begin your turn by untapping all the lands and stuff that you have at the start of the game, which at the start you don't have any. But then you draw your first card. So you'll have eight in your hand for the first time. You can play up to one land per turn, and then using those lands that you have accumulated throughout the game, you can cast creatures and spells to fight or make certain things happen on the field to put your enemies at a disadvantage and you add an advantage. There's also attack steps you can have where your creatures will like bite and some will block. Blocking happens typically on other opponents' turns for you, and then attacking is like on your turn, you can attack. It only happens once per turn though. So after you do that, you can't do it again. And it's kind of smart to know how to play your cards right. That way you play ones that you need before you attack, and then ones that after you attack, they won't really have an effect until your next turn. Um, so basically, after you do your attacking step, there's this thing called a second main phase. The first main phase is before the attack step, and that's where you can play your land and any other spells you have. Um, on the second main phase, you can essentially do the same thing, but it's just that after you attack with your creatures, there's some different things that can happen throughout the game, like abilities that can go off and stuff like that. So it's important to know like where you want to play your cards and stuff at. I really like strategic games. I feel like it helps me focus a lot, to be honest, and it helps me like draw a deeper connection to the friends around me. So this game is like one of the it's one of the best things that I've found as a hobby to have here at Western Carolina. I know I've actually found some similar card games too through Magic the Gathering. I remember when I was a kid, like I would try to play the Pokemon card game and like Yu-Gi-Oh because my cousin was really into it because Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of an older card game, at least in my opinion. Um, I never really got into Yu-Gi-Oh. It always looked really confusing, but it's actually really essentially the same as Magic. It just has like a slightly more strategic and just more stuff to think about. And Pokemon is like actually an easier version of Magic. So it's like there's actually different levels you could go. Magic is kind of in the middle, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, why I choose to play this game in college, aside from like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or any other card game really, is that it does have different outcomes every time you play, which is what I like about these types of card games. But with Magic, there's a bunch of different things that can happen throughout the game. In a 100 card deck, and you shuffle it every time, you're gonna see cards that you've never seen before, and they just have like it allows for very different plays, even if you use the same deck like 40 times or something. Like it's one of the most interesting things that I've come to find to do in my free time here at college. Um, one of the other things that I really like about it is that it's made a lot of fun and like happy memories with my friends here. It's allowed me to feel a lot closer to people that I've never known before coming into college. And it makes me feel really like accepted here to be able to like find friends that are also cool with the nerdy card games like that. Um, it really allows me to have a healthy escape from like the stresses that I have to deal with my work or like with college assignments. Like I I definitely know that I need to do those and I love being here at college, but magic is like one of the best things to just calm me down and make me feel better at the end of the day. And I think next is Maddie with our conclusion.
Yeah. Um, sorry. So essentially, hobbies are an important thing to have. They help everyone kind of process, they can help like process emotions, get some creativity out, provide an escape from the stresses of college life, kind of help you connect with the people around you. And there's just so many different ways that hobbies can help you throughout your life. And making those adjustments to keep them in your life is an important thing to do, just because of all these benefits you get from having them. Um, I wanted to end by saying that everyone has hobbies and everyone has different interests. And whether and everyone goes through different phases of their life and they make adjustments to it. And whether those adjustments are big and small, big or small, it doesn't change that having them makes us happier as a person. And that's it from us.
Cool.